So what we're going to do is, instead of doing it in here, we're going to do some trickery inside of 3ds Max in our case, but it could be any program. I just know the tools of Max, so we'll just use that. Plus, that's this one we're using at school. So I'm going to take everything off again except for just this bottom part. And then I'm going to do what I just did, which not that one, I'll delete it. Get rid of my trash here. Over here, get rid of the low res one again. And we'll just look at this one. This one's 4 million, we need to drop it down. In this case, I'm going to pre-process it and just do it inside of Matt. Actually, I do want to do a Dynamesh on it because I want to close up the faces, but escape does do it. Okay. So I'll come down to geometry, and what I'll probably do is duplicate this right now. So Control Shift D, and now I've got a duplicate, and then I'll come back down to here. I'll go to geometry, and we'll just use that same number we tried before, which 1,000 works pretty good. And make sure we hide the right one. Take a look at it. It's still 1.9. It's probably fine. I did it before. I'm going to see what I brought it down to before, just because I know it worked. This is the one in Max now. It's 398, which, wow, brought it down pretty good. So I think I probably did. Again, we're only using this. In this case, we're going to use it just to get the form right. We don't have to worry about any of the super detailed stuff. So we'll try, let's try 600. Get it smooth on here a little bit and then do it again. Still pretty big. Let's try 300. And that's probably close to where we were. Let's see. Do I see that? I'm still getting some of those pock marks, interestingly. It's really surprising that it's so low, honestly. Wait a minute. Yeah. Oh, it's 400K, but, you know, get it down to something like, you know, undo that one and go to, you know, 500. You know, get it down to a reasonable, you know, 496, 500K, that's fine. Anything, you know, anything under a mil is probably fine. You just, and depending on your computer, if your computer chugs a lot, then you might want to bring it as low as 500. Mine doesn't chug, I just was doing it that way. So then you're just going to export it out. Export, selected, and then, well, for Max is the one I did here. Go away, Steam. And so then I bring it in, you just import it in. And when I imported it in, this is the original file. So if we go FZ and we look at it, we come to my parts here, and you'll see that the high well is right there. I think I'm usually pretty good about naming stuff, but sometimes I'm not. So I'm, you know, it depends on what I'm using it for. So yeah, let's delete that one. Yeah, my old stuff's still here, so I have all the old pieces still in here. This is the old base and stuff. If I went and just showed everything, we'd see that all the parts are in here. So this is my original piece. Probably smart to take this high-res one we just did, this one, import it in, and put it in its own folder or layer, and just name it high-res or down-res. You probably want to make sure also that it's lined up with your low res. So if we come in here and we say Maybe I deleted the old one. Yeah, it's still pretty good. Okay, so now what do I do? So what we're going to do is use these tools in here called Freeform. In here, you'll see that we have splines that are much like working inside of Substance or inside of ZBrush's lines. You can also do topology brush and things like that. I mean, it's a lot of the same tools, and sometimes I will build this way. Not really getting into that. Again, this is a once you get your first piece out, usually it's just extend and shift and drag and stuff. But you guys are getting way more than most 3DMR1 class gets, so we're just going to go ahead and do it the simplest way we can. So if I look at this and I say, how do I get a nice form out of this? Or how do I get, you know, that piece? All I'm going to do, and this is crazy how easy it is, and you can see that it's a little bit off, so I'll have to adjust that, is I'm just going to come in here and go find a cylinder, and then I'm going to drag it out, pull it up, and then move it down to where it needs to be. Go front, turn this on so we can see what we got, and we'll pull this down, and I think height was like 23, 22. I'm just guessing here. And then the other thing I want to make sure is that it's not completely, I want to make sure that it overlaps in some places, and it looks like it's doing pretty good, so pretty straightforward, no big deal, pretty simple, not changing. I did change this from 18 to 19. I'm not sure if it really helped. I still had to do some cutting because of these pieces here, because they're in weird spots, and if you look at it from the top, you'll see that this one goes to the middle. This one's almost perfect, but this one cuts in the middle, so I'll probably have to do some cuts to make it work. But there is some finagling because of these end cuts and stuff, but let's just get going for the basic forms here. So at that point, I just cut it to an editable poly. Yeah, and then I go and find my vert at the bottom, delete, and I go to 3 and delete, and then I'm going to come to the top, and if I do this, it's kind of hard to see because that's the high-res mesh right there, but that's fine. I just need this vert right there, and delete, and then I just need to go to 3 and grab this one. Yeah. Go back to F3, scale it out, just like that, move it up, just like that, to the right height here, so yeah, like that. Scale it in, too much, just like that, move it up, like that. Scale it out, and this is where I'll notice that it's out on some edges but in on the other, and I'll fix that in a second. I'm just going to go up. You see how it's sticking out here, but inside there, we'll fix it. And then scale it. Well, we'll just start, I guess we'll do it now. So I just come to 4 mode, go to poly mode, shift and drag, so I grab the whole thing. Yours probably doesn't have this problem, but if it does, you need to adjust it now so you don't have that problem later. So I'll just move it over a little bit, and move it over a little bit. It's still circular, just somehow I got off center. And that way if I need to scale it or whatever, I can scale it to match, like this a little bit. It's really not super important, but it'll make your life easier if you get this close from the beginning. Yeah, see? Sure, and that's good enough, whatever. Go back to 3 mode, scale it in, and if it looks like it's too low, which I think it may be, it's not, again, not a huge deal, but you want to try and get it close in the beginning, just makes your headaches last later, and you lift this up, just like that. 3, grab that one, scale it out just a wee bit, and then shift and drag it down. And then scale it. I do 2 scales, so I do 1, and then I do a second one, and then I just collapse it, so it closes it up. Now the only other thing we have to tweak with is these things, and these are kind of a pain in the butt. But if we don't do them now, we're gonna have to do them later, on all honesty. So what I think we'll do is I'll just delete these edges here. We'll do both sides here, and then we'll get to the actual details in a second. This one's easier, so we'll just say delete, and then we're gonna have to do a subdivision on this one, so I'm just dividing it. All I'm doing is adding subdivisions to enable me to take this edge to, I probably should have done it before I did that, but hindsight. And move it forward. 1, 2, target welds, this. I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna shift and drag it out. Shift and drag it down. And, oops, that's stupid. I'm gonna shift and drag it down so it, meets there, and then we'll just take these two edges and shift and drag them out, and then go back to vert mode, target weld. Just like that. 4. We'll come to this face, extrude it out. You can see that I already had it set to the amount I extruded it last time, so I guess actually 10 worked anyway. Just like that. And it's up to you if you want to put this into here. It just means you have to cut the edges. This time I'm gonna leave it out and see if it works any better. It just means I had a little bit of cleanup to do, but it's super easy to clean up stuff in here. So here is the conundrum, and what I did last time is I cut it, but I don't like the extra, because that means I got 3 edges here. I don't want those 3 edges, so I'm gonna take this one and try it this way this time, and we'll just chamfer it, and we'll turn this one to try for now, and just widen them like so. That way I'm still only getting 1 extra edge right there, like that. Okay. Delete these faces, and again this one goes to here. We'll just do bridge. This one goes to here. Oops. Here. Bridge. And then, for whatever it's worth, it's close enough. We'll do this one to there. Bridge. It's not perfect. And even like before when I did this last time, the first time I did this, I even, what am I doing this one? Hold on 1 second. What am I doing this one? Just scale them out together. Let's change this to center. And scale them out, just like that. Okay. What I did before was then I chamfered all these edges because they're kind of chamfered in here, but I found that actually wasn't a good thing, so we're not going to do that this time either. And it looks like if somehow... Did I miss something here? Actually, I'm not sure if I like that. Let's see something here. Yeah, it didn't... Isolate selection. Take a look at this. I don't know why that happened. I'll grab that one, delete, and collapse. There. Okay. So pretty much all set up, ready to go. Now, this is another reason that it's a really good way to do it, is because before we do anything else, we're going to unwrap it. And unwrapping this, as you can imagine, is super easy, right? So open it up, UV unwrap, open it, pull it over here. We'll do it here this time. Pull it out, just get everything out of the way. Go to 3, and just grab by, if you look at mine, it's set to 45 degrees, so I'll grab by 45, and I'll have to move this over here. Let's do it the other way. We'll bring out our other tool that we like. Okay, so we'll grab that one. We can probably grab this one, and even this one and that one. So we grabbed all those Z facing faces. And we'll just do, let me change this to Z and say Z. We got that nice little setup right there. And we'll come to this one, and we'll hold Shift, and I don't know why my Shift's being weird lately, but okay, there, Shift, I grabbed all those edges there. And what I'm going to do this time is something I don't usually do, but again, it's an old school way of doing it, and it worked out pretty well, so I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to use this right here, and this is a cylindrical map, and it doesn't actually scale things correctly or proportion them correctly, but it's a really fast way to get something like a cylinder to be into, and then you push fit, into a simple square version right here. So then you just, but the only thing is you can't do anything until you get out of the cylinder mode, so you know. Then I'll grab this one. Okay, Shift does not want to work. I'll grab that one. I'm just going to grab, yeah, we'll grab those pieces and we'll do cylinder again. And then we'll turn off cylinder. Move it out of the way. Grab these pieces, move them out of the way. Grab this cylinder. Let's see if it'll let me. Did the whole thing this time, so booyah. We'll do that, say fit, so it fits inside of there. And then we'll turn that back off, move it out of the way. Grab this one, Shift, and say cylinder, fit, out of the way. Okay, now I've got this left, which is the interior faces, which is one thing I forgot to cut. I need to cut this up inside here, but we can do this even after we unwrap it, because it's easy that way. Fit, and there it is. Okay, so I have all the pieces for this part all unwrapped. Now, a couple things I can do. I can try and relax and see what happens, and sometimes it does really stupid things. Or I can just, what I like to usually do is pack it real quick to see what the pack looks like, so I can see. And then there's this piece too, not that one, this one. Is that the underside? Okay. It's funny that it doesn't have this one that same way. So I'm gonna take this one and start relax. Yeah, I must have missed it when I did the relax. Then what are these? These are probably extra pieces. Oh, they're undersides of these. It might be easier to get rid of those and do that extra cut. I'm gonna, like I said, I'll leave it for now. We'll just say fine. We'll just do relax on them real quick. Okay. We'll take this right here and try relax and see what it does. Yeah, it's not bad. We'll take this one, do relax. Take this one. You can use this button too. It's the same thing. I just, for whatever reason, I like this one better. And it does it different for some reason. It shouldn't. Take this one, relax. Take this one, relax. And then take them all, and then go back in and pat. And I'm not going to rotate them. Let's see what we get. So the biggest problem, if we look at this unwrap, is why it's not taking up more space is because of this bad thing right here. So because they're expanding out, it makes them reach out as far as they can to be to the farthest piece that stretches across. It finds the one that fits across, and then it makes everything else the same scale in the texture. So if we looked at it in here, you can see that. So since that's the outside one, and since we're just talking about bricks and stuff, we can just find a really easy place to cut this, and we'll take it, make sure I don't have that on, take it from here. Actually, I'll just take it off of there. You want to try and cut them at concave instead of convex instead of concave, concave instead of convex. So where they're going in, that's a good place to cut them usually. You'll notice that I have that extra one, that's fine. We'll just say break, and then we'll come over to this side over here, we're going to push 2, click on that, and say stitch, and then just grab that other piece. And now there are 2 separate pieces, so when I do this tool, pack UVs again, it gives me more room, so the volume is bigger. And there's some things that are questionable, but again, they're so slightly questionable that they may not matter. this sucker just needs to be attached to something. So if I go to and grab this and say stitch, hopefully it doesn't do that, which it does do sometimes. So we'll just go one, target weld, grab this one and go to there. And then take this one and put it up. And let's see if we just grab that and say relax. If it doesn't, yeah, there we go. Okay, so nothing is completely stretched across, so that means that it's fitting pretty well inside of there. It looks like I missed this, maybe the interior. What is this? Oh, it's the outside, dang it. Start relax, so that's gonna be a problem, so we'll move it up. And in this case, we'll just cut it in the middle. You know, it doesn't really matter. It's, again, with all these stones, it's gonna be hard to find the seam. It's technically more expensive for the engine, but it's not what we're worried about right now. We'll just do that. Break it, grab them all again, get rid of relax, and say pack. Bam. Okay, not much different, but still a little bit more. Okay, so now I've got it unwrapped. The hardest part of unwrapping stuff is the complexity of the stuff you're unwrapping. So if you can get it super easy and simple in the beginning, it's going to be awesome. So we collapse it down. Now we're going to unhide the high-res one. So I think I just go to end isolation, and there we go. So we have the high-res and the low-res sitting on top of each other. And what we're going to do, this is basically like project, and this was here first, but it's basically like, I think, actually it may not have been, but it's basically like project, but we have a lot more control over it. So it's like the cloth simulator in ZBrush as compared to Max. In Max, you push a button in the cloth simulator and it does its thing, and then you can tweak it. In ZBrush, you can pull the cloth around and it'll still simulate the cloth as it goes. So that's kind of what this is, and if you ask me, and it works better. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to the surface, and by default it usually says draw on grid, so you know. So when you come in here, you'll open this up, it says Freeform modeling. You're going to be selecting the low res one, and then you're going to say draw on surface, and you're going to pick a surface, and then you click this button, and then you pick the high res, which I already did obviously. So you need to tell it to draw on surface and then click this, which will say nothing, I think, and then make sure you do that. The offset is how far off the object it's going to connect it, and then you just start sculpting. Actually, you don't. You got to do a little bit more than that. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into Turbosmooth, and we're going to change it so it is by smoothing groups. So it looks like nothing's changed, it's just added more geometry to it. Perfect. We're going to go twice, just like that. And that's about where we'll stop. And then we can always do more if we need to. We'll convert to editable poly. So now we've got it collapsed down. Now we push conform, and we start conforming. And it's just a brush that conforms all the objects together. You'll get some little messy stuff like this. That's totally fine. We can fix it after. We're just in here, like, you know, getting most of this stuff set up. If I had done the chamfered edge on here, it would have added extra geometry right there on the corners, on the edges, which would have caused me a little bit more work. So if you don't chamfer them and you just let the extra polys come across the same way. In fact, I did forget to do that. So let me see if this will work still. I forgot to inside do more geo, so it's gonna fight me a little bit because it doesn't have enough. Let's see, how far back are you gonna let me go? Because you're max? Probably not far. Yeah. Okay. So what I'll do is I will get out of that real quick. I mean, well, it's fine. Whatever, it's fine. It'll be better if you divide your inside as well, because I just forgot. You see how it does some of that stuff? That's totally fine. Remember, some of the stuff we're getting rid of, so we aren't that worried about perfection. We're just trying to get it kind of working here and not squared off, and, you know, spend a few minutes in here. Clean up your mess a little bit right there, and bam, bam, bam. Get this so it's not all hard-edged, hard-edged. Hard-edged, hard-edged. Check this. Try and get that center line. See how that center's perfect this time? We've got perfect loop. Come over here, look at this one. You can make your brush smaller and get a little bit more detail work in there. But I do want to show you a tool inside of Max for cleaning up, you know, weirdness anyway. It makes your life a little bit easier. It's a button. Okay, so pretty good overall. It's not, but again, we're talking 25 minutes as of when we first started, and I've already unwrapped it and skinned it, or not skinned it, but conformed it to the object. So now I'm going to hide again. I'll just isolate selection, so I have this, and I'm going to look for some of this stuff. All I have to do is really decide where I want to fix it. So if I see this, go to 1, and just grab those verts right there. There's a thing over here called relax. Where is it? I always lose it. It's right there. And look at that. It relaxes. And you can leave it up and say plus, and then come to this next one, and you can keep just messing with them a little bit. The other thing you want to do before you do too much relaxing is figure out which pieces, which edges you're going to keep. Since we are, like, these pieces probably need to be relaxed some. Yeah, I probably should have attached it, but so I would attach those pieces instead of have it free floating extrude like that. Plus, without these complicated little weirdness things that I added to them, which are probably correct, but they're just, you know, more work. It would be a lot faster. But since I did it that way. So I can grab all of this, right? I'm going to queue, so I'm not selecting anything like that. And just, you know, I can turn this up to 1 and say plus and so forth. So, yeah, so then I can get out of here. And then I say, okay, right now it is 7K. Without me doing anything else, it's 7K. But I know that I'm going to get rid of some edges. So like this one right here, which is being a pain anyway, I'll just double click it, control backspace, and get rid of it. Bam, done. I will take these ones in the top that really don't do anything, like this one, and probably, usually what I do is I take every other one, and there's a way to do it. If you click in modeling, you can come up here and say that, and it'll go through every one, but we don't want that, so we're just going to do one. And then the other thing, really quick, I want to do is get rid of this center, because that center means that when I do a grab from one place, it's going to go to the next. So I'm just going to grab loops, and then grab a loop, and then grab a loop, and then actually the way I usually do it, I'm just realizing here, is I do it this way, delete. Now I can go to 5 and just grab that piece and delete it, so I don't have that loop anymore. Okay. Now I can come back to this and just clean up some pieces. So I can go like this and backspace and see if that likes that. I can go back to where we were here. I take this one, not that one, this one, and just do L. Oops, I guess that is still set to it, even though I told it to turn it off. Hold on, that's Camtasia doing something. So I'll do that one, I'll do that one, and I'll do that one, control backspace. I'll do this one and this one, control, or double click, control backspace. I'll do this one, and let's just keep trying that whole theory there. I'll just do every other. And if you want to get it tighter, you can always do more subdivisions from the. That's not what I want. From the Turbosmooth, before the Turbosmooth, wrong button. This one, and then I'll probably just get rid of this one like that, so it's a little smoother there. Actually, I'll just do that one there. And you get the idea, right? Everybody get it?
Yep.
Pretty simple, right? And probably could do some vertical ones too. We'll take a look at what we have here. It's at 5K. 5,000 tries, by the way. And again, you need to come in here and do a little mess. If you have it like mine, I probably should clean this up. So clean that up. I could probably do another pass with the other, but it's because I didn't collapse that down there. So move my test here, so we can try it with this here. Yeah, so that one's going to be a problem. Yeah, and then I could do, try and do the ones not in the creases, try and do the ones in the middle, and if you want, you could do it this way, and then collapse instead of control backspace, because it'll just collapse them into one, and that way you still have the thickness of your stone here. This one will just backspace. Again, I can keep going on and on, but if you come back in here and look at your unwrap, it's still perfect, or it's still very well. So I can come in here real quick, because I've noticed whenever you see green stuff touching its sides here, it just means that these points aren't welded. So really easy fix is just Control A to grab everything, go in here and say weld verts, and you'll see now that the ones that are right next to each other are welded. And then we can clean up little things if you really want to. Target weld. This one looks like it's got an extra vert somewhere, so that's another thing you can do. If you didn't know this, if you see you've got an extra edge here, I'll go grab this one, and then I collapse it to an editable poly, and then I go to edge mode. That edge, in theory, unless they stop doing that. Okay, so hold on, I'm back one. I know it works with poly, so we'll just go to extra poly mode. I'm gonna find it. It's this one. That one, collapse over poly, go to poly mode, and there it is. Yeah, of course it's that one, right? So we'll go to 2, make this one, backspace out. Hey, silly, trying to be quick about it, get myself in trouble. Yeah, that's probably worse. Anyway, okay, so the unwrap looks pretty good. All I have to do is export it, and I can export it as for substance 5K 2, like that. Okay, and since I know it's the same scale, it should be the same scale as the other one, the high res. I should be able to import them both in. If not, then you just need to export the high res out of max 2 so the scale matches. So let's see, 5K2. Okay. This one's definitely not as pretty because I did that stupid thing down there, and there's a couple of little things. But let's see how bad it works. Go up to 2048, and we'll just go higher, 4096, why not? We'll go to weld for max, that's the high, I should have just named it high, and then bake. Okay, and of course the ones we expect, that one's broke, that's weird right there. There's a couple little weird things in here, mainly it's just this stupid stone. And then if I wanted to, I could, here, let me bake again, but I'll bake higher or lower res so it doesn't take as long, and then change this to 0.1. Let's try that again. And there we go. Still going to be problems down here, but all the other little aberrations are gone. And then if I just open up this and I throw a quick 2D tool on here, throw that in there. Turn that off. Layers. There. It's made out of gold. So yeah, I mean, honestly, you can't beat quick, fast, dirty. And again, it's just because I haven't cleaned it up. I can come in here and clean up some more stuff. But it's super fast, super clean. And then, of course, I should have put the bottom in there. And it works beautifully. And it's so much better than trying to do it the other way because I have full control over the mesh. So, for you all, I want you to do this. And then inside of here, bring in your other pieces too. Now, what I think, you know what we'll do? I'm thinking about this here, hold on. This would be better, this piece would be better if it was all airtight, but since it's not, it's a little bit more of a dance to get this, but it may not be that bad. I may not need to do anything to this. I may just be able to bake it straight into in Substance with the resolution it's set here and the other one. But I can also just add some simple subdivisions on here too. You know, do some chamfering or something like that. I probably don't want to do that. I probably do want to divide this actually. Because inside of Z, that's not Z. Inside of, hello. Inside of Z, one of the things we did have were these things, which weren't in the original. So you're going to want to up-res the other one, just like we did with this one here. So basically inside of Max, just do a Turbosmooth on it after you've unwrapped it. Make sure you save it by smoothing group so it keeps that information. And you don't have to do it as densely as I did with this one. You probably be a little bit more careful when you use the form brush on it, and do it up twice. You know, so you've got some. That way when you do your sculpting, you'll get some kind of slanted edges here. And it's only, even with this on, it's still only 2K, so we're still talking 7K for the whole well, and then adding the other stuff in there. So, yeah, you're not doing any texturing, we're just exporting it out of ZBrush at a reasonable level, putting it in here, and then doing that, and you don't even have to bring it into Substance, but you probably want to just to check it. Actually, let's go ahead and bring it into Substance just to bake the parts. And when you do it, when you bring stuff into Substance from the way we've done differently here, what you want to do is you want to go to Materials inside of Max. And you want to make a material. And we're going to double click on this, it'll show up over here. We're going to name this Stone. And then we're going to shift and drag a copy of it. I'm not really worried about the textures. The important thing about these materials is their names. And then wood, if you want to do that. And then you could do another one that says like metal. Yeah. By the way, and when I say all I'm looking for is these two pieces, don't do the other pieces, but they'll be the same methodology. But I'm thinking the first half of on Thursday is going to be just time to work on those last two pieces, the last few pieces, and I'll do them in class with you. And then we'll get on to texturing for the weekend. But anyway, you want to name those three, just like that. You know, this one needs to be named too here. I thought I named it. stone, metal. Oh, I guess I overwrote the metal. There we go. And then you want to grab your wood and you want to throw the material on it. And you want to grab your stone and you want to throw the material on it. And then if you're exporting your metal, you would too. But so we're going to take these two and then export them together this time. And we're going to say 2 parts for now. And then when I bring it into here, I'm going to say new, select 2 parts, open. Now, there's a reason I did that. Do y'all know why I named them and everything for here, even though it's still one mesh?
It'll bake on a separate texture.
Yep. So the way Substance looks at things is by the materials used. So if you want these two to be separate textures, you need to have materials on them. It doesn't matter if they're separate pieces or even separate exports into FBX. It's not like Unity. They need to be named. Well, named. You can name them here too, but they need to have 2 separate textures on them for them to be able to be painted on. In fact, you can hide one. Like I can go to wood and hide this. I could just be working on this and bake just this. And I suggest you bake them separately anyway. And we'll talk about that. A couple more tricks that we'll do inside of Substance Painter. But yeah, so that's all I'm looking for is the 2 big pieces. Think you guys can do that?
I think so. Yep.
All right. So I'll put this big